Energy programs, tons of them out there. All the builders talk about it on one level or another. We have a fantastic one. In fact, it's the best in the market. But one of the things that I see a lot of is having difficulty explaining the difference to the customer. This comes from a variety of sources, watching video shops and both of us and also our competition. But in talking with real estate agents, who a lot of them say, well, all the builders are energy efficient. So like a lot of things that we do in our homes, we have to come up with a presentation that the customer understands and can put it in terms that they can relate to and to where they can segment what really is different between what we do and other builders do. So let's talk about that real quickly. First of all, a buyer comes in and you bring up the energy program. It's not so much the components. While certainly it's great to bring up that you have a 16-SEER air conditioner or R38 in the attic or a tilt-out double frame, insulated windows and all that, it becomes a mishmash in their head. It's kind of like going in and talking about all the technical details about an automobile without really bringing the real point to the buyer that this car gets 40 miles a gallon, this other car gets 30 miles a gallon. So let's talk about a presentation that we can do to kind of put it in perspective. Here's an example. Well, Mr. Buyer, what do you know about energy programs? Whatever they say, just go with that. Say, well, one of the things we're real proud of here at Plantation Homes is that we have one of the most comprehensive energy programs of any home builder here in the market. Now, kind of give you a little history on this. I know there's a lot of confusion out there in terms of talking to other builders. They say, oh, we have that and we have this, and oh, we're the same as everybody else, or we're Energy Star, this, that, and the other. Well, I just kind of give you an idea of what we do and how it's quite a bit different and why our buyers find a particular value in it. First of all, prior to 2002, there were no energy requirements here in Texas. The programs that were out there were voluntary, and there was a lot of different ones before that. In 2002, they passed the Texas Building Code, which established minimum requirements, and it was a heck of a lot better than what we used to have. Now, you're probably familiar with Energy Star. Are you? You've heard of it, exactly. Well, Energy Star is a program that was administered by the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. It's a federal program. And it establishes minimum requirements in order to get the Energy Star certification. It's about 15% on average better than the minimum Texas Building Code. Almost everybody is Energy Star nowadays. Energy Star has kind of become the de facto energy efficiency program, if you will. I kind of liken it to, when you buy a car, them telling you you have radial tires on it. Everybody has that now. And it's kind of the minimum you would expect. In fact, I don't even know of any builders who aren't at least doing Energy Star. But there's a lot of other programs out there. They're marketed under names like Power Smart, Powerhouse, Greenbelt, LEED, Builders Challenge. Builders Challenge, for instance, is another U.S. government program by the Department of Energy. And then there's programs like Environments for Living, EFL. Now, that's the program that we subscribe to, and they have different levels within EFL as far as requirements and the expected savings that you as a buyer can enjoy. All of these are meant to meet or exceed Energy Star standards. Now, in our case, on Environments for Living, there's several things I want to talk to you about. And the reason we chose to do that on our homes here is that, first of all, we don't feel like our buyers should have to consider upgrading the construction of their home. When you buy an Energy Star home and all that, it's pretty good, but if you're wanting to do more and get it more than just kind of the minimum everybody's doing, you're going to have to pay more. We don't feel like our buyers should have to do that. The other thing is that the Environments for Living program is designed for homes here in Houston and our challenges and so forth. We subscribe to what they call the platinum level, which is their highest level. But one of the things that how we're different is that we actually go even beyond some of the requirements of platinum. So I like to call it platinum plus, if you will. But let me kind of break it down to you. Is that, energy, when you're saving home energy, it's not just about the bill, although certainly that's important. It's also comfort. It's also air quality and things like that. Some of the things that Environments for Living requires are that first of all, the air conditioning systems all be matched equipment. The home has to be sealed up to certain standards. We have to bring in fresh air. There has to be balanced air throughout the home. But beyond all of that, it takes a comprehensive, complete approach to the home as a unit. Each home individually is analyzed, tested, and spec'd out as to what it takes to meet the EFL standards. And EFL, and the idea is when we do this, you're going to get a home that's 25 to 30% more efficient than the normal Energy Star home that's out there, and as much as 45 to 50% more than a Texas code-built home. To put that in perspective, one of the things I think a lot of times we forget about is that, when you look at the cost of a home, of living in a home, certainly we have the mortgage payment, and that's price and interest rate and how much you put down and all that. But we also have other things. We got electric bills, gas bills, water bills, phone bills, right? We got all those things as well. So when you add all those up and you get a total, that really represents your total housing expense every month. Wouldn't you agree? Right. So if you have a total of, let's say, $2,000 here, and the other price over here, or the other total on another home is $2,050, it doesn't really matter where the $50 is saved in that equation. It could be if you have lower utility bills, well, obviously that saves you money, even if the price of the home was a little bit higher, and vice versa. You could have a cheaper home and higher electric bills and come out the same way. But I think a lot of times we get so caught up in this whole price thing, what's the cheapest. It's kind of like looking at two cars that are identical in size and features, but one gets 30 miles a gallon, the other one gets 40 miles a gallon. Obviously, the 40-mile-a-gallon one is going to be more attractive because it's going to be cheaper to own and operate. It's exactly the same thing on a home. And what do you think is going to happen on utility bills in the future? Well, certainly, you expect them to go up. So, to talk a little bit about this, is that, and I'll go through all the components with you, and I've got sheets where you can compare it. But one of the things that attracted us about Environments for Living is that, first of all, it's not just a guesstimate. It's not just we think it's going to do this. Each of the homes that we build has to meet some very stringent inspections along the way, and then a final inspection and testing in order to get this Environments for Living certification. That ensures us as a builder that all the money that we're spending and putting into the home, things are being done correctly and that they're operating correctly on that particular home. The reason I bring this up, a lot of these other programs, they participate in what they call batch testing. A builder, in other words, a builder could have 5 or 6 homes. The inspector comes in and looks at one of them and says, well, they're all built to the same standards, so we can certify all those homes. Well, the only question I have about that might be fine, but what if your home wasn't inspected? What assurance do you have? The other thing is that, as I mentioned earlier, we go beyond some of the minimums on Environments for Living. For instance, on your air conditioning systems, the requirement is a 15 SEER SEER rated air conditioning unit here in Houston. We go to 16 SEER for a variety of reasons. A, saves you another 9 or 10%. It's a better unit. It's a little more of a professional, call it commercial grade, if you will. And we do some additional things, like, for instance, a humidistat in the home. Because our challenge in Houston isn't just the heat, it's the humidity. And the advantage to that is that if you can keep the humidity in your home down a few percentage points, you can also keep your air conditioning temperature that you set your thermostat on a few degrees higher, and you're just as comfortable. And the less that compressor's running to cool it down, well, obviously the more money you save. So there's some other things that we do, but that's kind of the component. But here's the big deal, is that we've got numbers, and I'll show you this on this particular home here. It's rated at $65. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically, the Environment for Living's program, because they're so confident in what we do and everything that goes into it, is that we give you a 3-year written guarantee on the heating and cooling portion of your electric and gas bills. Now, heating and cooling, those two components, which is what EFL is designed to address, here in Houston basically averages out to around 50 to 55% of our annual utility bill. When you average it out over a year, we're going to spend somewhere around 50 to 55% of our bill is going to end up because of the air conditioning or the heating system. This summer, no telling what it is. But now, so if I took this, for instance, this particular home, let's say $70, that uses an average, say, $140 as a guesstimate for a year-round average. Now, here's the thing that's great about this is that not only do they tell you this, what to expect, but it's that 3-year written guarantee. So it's not just a builder saying, oh, here's what we do and how great it is and you should believe us and here's the documentation on it. They're actually giving you something in writing that you can count on. Now, and here's, like everything else that we do in the home, we've got a 2-year warranty on materials and workmanship. We got, of course, a 10-year structural warranty and all this. But we feel like it's important that you, as a home buyer, should have some sort of expectation and guarantee as to what the performance should be on your home. And we're willing to provide that. Now, a lot of other builders don't do this. And my question to you is, if they're willing to guarantee the dishwasher and the slab and the roof and the carpet and all these other things, shouldn't they be willing to give you some sort of guarantee or something in writing as to what your bills should be and that it will perform that way? We provide that. And the other question is, when you're looking around and you're trying to get these comparisons and what this builder does and that builder, I just ask them, well, can you give me something in writing, some sort of guarantee as to what I can expect to pay in utility bills? I think that makes sense, doesn't it to you? Sure. So as we go through the home, I'll tell you more about it, but that's just one of the things that sets us apart. Again, it's considered to be the top-of-the-line energy program out there right now. We exceed it. Why? Because our buyers tell us by the time they're in this price range, there's certain things they expect to see. It's one thing to upgrade my floors, it's upgrade the cabinets or put in fancier faucets, but it's very, very hard to go back and upgrade the energy efficiency of a home. So I'd like you to think about it. Does that make sense to you? Great. Now, that's just one example of a way to present environments for living. And what I'm going to ask you to do when you're thinking about this is script something out to where you can walk a buyer through, explain the history, in other words, where these energy programs came about, what they know about Energy Star, get them to understand Energy Star is kind of a de facto throwdown energy program, if you will now. But then, how are you going to build the value of environments for living? Because ultimately, when they see that it meets and exceeds, and you give them an example of how that would affect them in their monthly payment and cost of home ownership, is that at the end of it, you come back and you throw it on, you put out the idea that you should expect a written guarantee on how your home's going to perform, regardless of who you buy a home from. Now, from a sales perspective, that builds value here. It's one of the key elements of the Environments for Living program. More importantly, though, competition who likes to say, oh, we've got the same thing they've got, oh, we're just as good, or we have this, that, or the other. What are they going to say when the customer asks them for a written guarantee on their utility bill? Right? I wouldn't want to be in that position, would you? Think about it. Thank you very much.